Hello, BookTube, and I hope everybody's having a good weekend and specifically a good Sunday. I'm here with a bit of a book haul, mostly mail. Well, it is all through the post or delivery services, uh, and I haven't done one of these in quite a long time, and it's accumulation of books from, and a couple Blu-rays from mid November, I guess, was the first thing that I got, and I was sent this by a wonderful viewer, and it is the Collected Stories Volume 1, the Everyman edition of Henry James's collected short stories. It's over 1,200 pages. It's like 1,250 pages, and it's just chock full of stories, and it's wonderful. So thank you very much. I've already thanked them personally, and the note here says enjoy your gift. So yeah, I will. I haven't dipped into it too much. I started reading the introduction, but it's reading at times is difficult, but I will be going through these slowly. I like having collections of short stories, essays, and things like that. I keep many around because if I want something short to read, I've got many on the go, many like 20 on the go or whatever. So I can dip in and dip out of things. So it's just wonderful. Sorry, I'm going to set them down on the floor. And then another friend who sent me a gift certificate that I bought some two new Blu-rays that have come out, limited editions. I think they're called that because they usually now do them as limited editions with extra material like a booklet and stuff like that. That then once that's sold out, they come out with a standard edition without some of the extras on it, which I don't really like, but it means if you want the Blu-ray, you've got to get it now, or wind up, if once it's out of print, it's hundreds of pounds usually, and there's no way I'm paying £100 for a 40-page booklet, even though I like having the booklets. So the first one that's great, well, these are they're numbered. They're both from the Masters of Cinema series by Eureka. It's a wonderful series. They do titles that are silent, classic, English and non-English language, as well as even some new stuff, a few new things. And they will highlight a few directors occasionally and do a box set. They usually have a booklet. I think they all have booklets. Small to larger size, anywhere from like 30-40 pages, this is like 27 pages up to 100 and some pages for the booklet. They still call it a booklet even though at 100 pages that's a book. And this one is number 259. It's The Love of Jenny Nye. It's directed by G.W. Pabst, and it's got I forgot her name. Brain is always failing me. Let's see. Well, it's got Bridget Helm, who was her biggest film is obviously, if everybody knows, she's Maria in Metropolis. And she's in this as well. It's based on a Russian writer. I shouldn't quite say Soviet all the time, but Ilya Ehrenberg, 1920. The film is 1927. I'm not sure when the book was, but it's been translated into English. I would like to read it, but there's very few copies that I can find in English. Even anything else. If anybody ever comes across like a PDF of it or something like that, it's long out of print. So please let me know, because I would like to read it, even if it happens to be on a PDF. I've tried Gutenberg, but I have had no luck with there. This, as I say, has a booklet with it that's pretty good. I've when I got it, I read through the booklet. I love the booklets, like the essays that are in them. They are brief, but they are usually quite informative. They get good writers. This does not have a commentary, though, which is a bit surprising and disappointing for Masters of Cinema. There's a few that don't, for some reason. I don't know why they do that. The American version, the Region A, encoded by Kino Lorber, has a commentary with it, but I don't think it has a booklet. They rarely have booklets. And then the other one is a 1949 Kirk Douglas film called Champion. It's a boxing film. It's just trying to think. Well, Arthur Kennedy's on it. Original screenplay, but it's based on a Ring Lardner. Produced by Stanley Kramer. Yeah, Mark Robson was the director. I remember this being quite a good film. I'm not a huge fan of sports films, but Kirk Douglas is very good in this, and it's very well photographed. This does have a commentary, and it's got a booklet too in it, with an essay on sort of boxing in cinema. So it's a general thing for that, and it's quite good. This does not. Well, the commentary, though, is by professor and film scholar Jason A. Nye, or Nye, Ney. I'm not familiar with them. They're usually very good. Their commentaries on here when they do have them, which is most of the time. The only thing that's missing out of this, which would have been nice if they had, was the 1950 radio version of Champion. But I'm not sure if Kirk Douglas reprised his role as Midge Kelly. I'm not sure. So if he didn't, that might be why it's not on here. But it is nice when they have that audio bit as an extra. And it was, like I say, 1949, and the short story came out in Esquire in 1949 as well. So it was a quick turnaround for the cinema. Let me see. Yeah. So those are ones that I got last week. Two books came today. A friend of mine has purchased for Christmas for me is some more Henry James, but it's 2 volumes of his criticism. And the one that came first today is volume 2. It's the Library of America. They're all this size, little smaller size. They're nicely made. They're cloth. They're sewn. They are on acid-free paper. There's a listing of a lot of their titles. They have over 300 titles on the back of the dust jacket here. I think they copied that off. I think the Modern Library used to do that, or the Modern Library actually as well printed 2 different jackets. They would print on both sides, so they had either a list or another jacket, which it was a good economy. They just printed the same thing, and or the same paper for both jackets. Which I've noticed. And this is volume 2, the European Writer's Prefaces to the New York edition of his writings, and it's 1,300 pages, almost 1,350 pages, and it doesn't look that big, but it is. And the first volume is bigger. I think it's almost 1,500 pages. So that's quite nice when I get those together. They've actually done all his stuff. There's another 3 volumes to the nonfiction, so there's 5 volumes of nonfiction of Henry James, 2 travel books, I think it is, and an autobiographical one, and then there's 5 as well short stories. So the Everymen that I have here, even when I eventually get the second volume, will be just a small smattering of them. And those 5 volumes, there's over 4,000 pages of short stories. They would be nice, but I'm not sure if all of them are still in print. They're very difficult to get, and they're pricey. And then there's 6 volumes. So there's 6 volumes of his novels, with many novels in each volume. So there's 16 volumes of the Library of America dedicated to Henry James. It's no slouch, and you can have sort of almost a bookcase of his stuff, because there's, what is it, Edel, I think it is, that did I'd love to get the biography, 5-volume biography of Henry James that he did. And then he did like either 4 or 5 volume letters and a 4 or 5 volume, or 3, 4 or 5 volume diaries, and then I think another multi-volume notebooks. It's just not ending. You'd almost have a bookcase. You'd have several shelves for sure of Henry James if you had all that stuff. And the other item that came today, and is from my wish list that I have. It'll be down at the bottom if anybody wants to do it. And this is just wonderful. This is the annotated Edgar Allan Poe. It's a selection of his stories and some poems. It's edited by Kevin J. Hayes, forward by William Giraldi, I think it is, Giraldi. This is a beautifully made book. It's 2015 by the Belknap Press of Harvard University. And it is wonderful. It's cloth, it's sewn, it's not acid-free paper, but it is nice paper. It's cream color, and the annotations are in red. It's the usual way. It's the same format as the what is it? Henry Klinger. That's done the Sherlock Holmes, the Lovecraft, the Dracula, and Frankenstein, and many other things he's edited. Many books. And this, as I say, is a selection, but it's also got illustrations, wonderful colored illustrations as well that are in there. It's just a marvelous production. I didn't realize it was so nice, because I saw this, I think, probably 3 or 4 years ago, and for some reason I always thought it was a Klinger. And then somebody asked me about a year and a half ago, is there a Poe, annotated Poe? And I said, oh yeah, the Klinger, the same guy who's done this did it. But when I looked it up, I realized, oh, it's not Klinger. And as I say, it's a selection, so it's short. But there's the most popular stories in here pretty well. There's Metzer Gerstein, The Manuscript Found in a Bottle, Bernice, A Tale, Morella, Ligeia, The Man That Was Used Up, The Fall of the House of Usher, William Wilson, Why the Little Frenchman Wears His Hand in a Sling, The Businessman, The Philosophy of Furniture, The Man in the Crowd, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, A Descent into the Maelstrom, The Oval Portrait, The Mask of the Red Death, Pit and the Pendulum, Telltale Heart, Goldbug, Black Cat, The Purloined Letter, The Facts in the Case of Michel Valdemar, The Cask of Amontillado, Hop Frog, and then a few poems. It's called A Sheaf of Verse, this section. To Helen, To One in Paradise, The Raven, Eulalume, don't think that's pronounced right, A Ballad, El Dorado, and Annabelle Lee. And then there's an appendix with first printings, reprints, and translations published during Poe's lifetime. So that's quite interesting, but it's a bit it's not annotated or anything. It's a bit of bibliography, and then there's selected reading or further reading on it. So there's a lot. It's just a beautiful edition, and I can't thank the person who sent it enough. I won't be mentioning people's names for just privacy reasons, but It's just fabulous. I'm gonna dip into it. Poe is one of those writers. There was two writers when I was young that I really enjoyed, that I really liked, and I told myself that I don't want to read everything that they did at that time. What I want to do is have, for future, new items, new stories by these people to read, and so I rationed them, and I've rationed Poe quite well for 35 years. And Arthur Conan Doyle was another one, but I screwed up on him. When I first came to England, I got 2 collections of his short stories, the Sherlock Holmes stories, and then the novels, and I read them through cover to cover. And I realized I made a mistake, because then I don't have any new Holmes stories to read. I reread them, yes, and I reread a lot of Poe as well. Like every year, twice a year, I read Some Words with a Mummy. That's one of my favorites of his. I really love it. I'm a bit disappointed it's not in there, but I'm not surprised that it's not in there, because it wasn't. When people think of Edgar Allan Poe, they don't think of Words with the Mummy. But I do. It's a fabulous one. But I will be dipping into that hopefully today, if my energy keeps up. I'll dip in and read at least 1 or 2 of the shorts, or reread short stories, and maybe occasionally I'll dip in and read. There's about 6, I think, out of that list that I read, 6 that I haven't read. So I could easily do those over the next year. So I'll still ration them. Like that's the whole point, is to ration them. Then I'll still have something new to read by Poe, 200 years after almost. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing well, and again, thank you everyone for these gifts. Well, there's 2 that are, or 3, the Blu-Rays, and the Poe, and the Everyman, Henry James, are by viewers, subscribers. So again, thank you very much. And I will again leave the list down at the bottom. It's like, if anybody cares to do, and I appreciate it, and thank you very much. But anyway, I will go, and I'll be back in a day or 2 with another video. Fingers crossed, and knock on wood. Take care, BookTube. Bye for now.